Imagine a fortress built over 1500 years ago, not just surviving, but thriving in a harsh, unforgiving climate. It's a place that seems to defy logic, a marvel of ancient engineering that continues to baffle us today. We're talking about Sigiriya, or the Lion Rock, an incredible sandstone monolith that rises dramatically out of the plains of Sri Lanka. Just look at it. It's not just big, it's a statement of power, of ambition, and of unimaginable ingenuity. As the morning mist clears and the sun catches its sheer rock face, you can't help but feel a sense of awe. This isn't just a hill, it's a geological wonder, chosen specifically for its natural defenses and its imposing presence. But the story of Sigiriya is not just about a big rock. It's about a king named Kashyapa, a man who, in the 5th century, decided he needed a fortress that was truly untouchable. He chose this lonely, isolated peak and transformed it into a masterpiece. He didn't just build a palace on top, he created an entire kingdom in the sky. It was a royal residence, a formidable fortress, and a breathtaking pleasure garden all in one. It's hard to wrap your head around, isn't it? How did they haul massive stones up a sheer cliff face? What kind of technology did they have to carve out these intricate pathways and chambers? And, perhaps most importantly, how on earth did they sustain a thriving civilization at the very top of this isolated peak, with no obvious source of water? That is the biggest mystery of all. You see, the climate here is hot, and water is a precious resource. Yet when you look at the complex, you don't just see dry stone, you see lush, green gardens, reflective pools, and a sprawling moat system. It's almost impossible, and yet it was a reality. The secret to this impossible feat lies not in what you can see, but in the brilliant, hidden system that still lies beneath our feet. This isn't just a story about architecture. It's a story about ancient hydraulic engineering so advanced it will completely change your understanding of what was possible so long ago. All right, let's leave the grand, imposing scale of the rock for a moment and come back down to earth. This is where the true genius, the intricate heart of Sigiriya, reveals itself. Below the main fortress, on the flat land surrounding the rock, are the magnificent water gardens. Now, from a distance, they look like a beautiful, serene landscape. But up close, you realize they are a mind-blowing feat of engineering, an ancient machine disguised as a pleasure garden. You see, the entire layout is a testament to perfect symmetry. Everything is deliberate. Everything has a purpose. We're talking about a landscape that's perfectly symmetrical along an east-west axis, with channels and pools designed with a precision that would make a modern civil engineer nod in appreciation. It's not just about a few ponds. This is a sprawling, interconnected network of moats, fountains, and canals. It's a system built on a grand scale, yet every single detail is meticulously planned. As you walk through these gardens, you notice a series of interconnected ponds, linked by hidden underground conduits. They are a wonder to behold. You see these ponds and think, okay, a nice place for a stroll. But you have to ask yourself, how are they always so full? How did they manage to create fountains that even after 1500 years, still spring to life when it rains? This is where the magic truly begins. The secret lies in understanding that these visible elements are just the tip of the iceberg. The moats you see, they're not just for defense. They are the first line of an elaborate water purification and management system. The water flows from the moats into a series of smaller pools, and from there into the fountain gardens. Now this is where it gets really interesting. The fountain gardens are the most captivating part of the whole system. They are a collection of small, limestone-based fountains, each one a masterpiece in itself. When the main reservoir on the rock fills with water, the pressure from the weight of all that water forces it down through underground channels and up through these little fountains. It's an almost perfect application of gravity and hydraulic pressure. Let's try to visualize this. Imagine a series of large ceramic pipes, all laid out with a precise gradient. They are not just straight lines. They are carefully planned conduits that work together to create pressure. One pipe goes a certain distance and then connects to another, which travels under the ground, hidden from view. The water starts at a high elevation, and as it travels down, it builds momentum and pressure. This pressure is then used to push the water back up to create the fountain jets. It's like a giant, naturally powered water pump. And the genius doesn't stop there. These channels aren't just bare earth. They are lined with a special, waterproof plaster. The ancient engineers understood material science. They knew they needed to prevent water from simply seeping into the ground. So, they created a plaster, a kind of ancient cement, that kept the water flowing exactly where it was meant to go. They were sealing their system, making it incredibly efficient and resilient, something that modern engineers still marvel at. Now get this. The whole system operates without a single mechanical pump. Not one. No gears, no engines, no modern machinery. It's all based on the simple, elegant principles of fluid dynamics. They use the natural slope of the land and the force of gravity to move a massive amount of water across a huge area, from the reservoir on top of the rock all the way down to these elaborate gardens. And it's not just for show. These gardens were functional. They provided cool air for the palace, a place for bathing, and a stunning aesthetic that must have been breathtaking to behold. But the water was also critical for agriculture. The irrigation channels, though largely unseen today, were key to keeping the palace supplied with food and other resources. The water first went into the moats, then it flowed into the main pools. From there, it was directed into the fountains. And finally, it flowed into a series of smaller, less ornate channels that fed into the surrounding fields and gardens, ensuring the whole complex was self-sustaining. So when you look at these gardens today, you're not just seeing an ancient landscape. You're looking at a functioning, sophisticated machine, a quiet, humble wonder of the world that whispers its secrets through the flow of water. It shows us that ancient technology wasn't just about moving big stones, but about a deep, intuitive understanding of the natural world. We've seen the grandeur of the rock and the quiet beauty of the water gardens below. But the truth is, what we've been looking at so far is only the surface. The real genius, the true heart of Sigiriya's ancient technology, lies hidden. It's an invisible arterial network of pipes, channels, and reservoirs, a sophisticated system that demonstrates a profound understanding of physics, hydraulics, and civil engineering over 1,000 years before these fields were formally studied in the West. So let's peel back the layers. Let's look beneath the earth. The first thing to understand is that the entire system is built on two simple but powerful principles: gravity and pressure. Imagine this. The engineers of Sigiriya had a massive natural resource at their disposal: the rock itself. They used the high elevation of the summit as their main power source. Water, as we all know, always wants to flow downhill. They used this fundamental rule of nature to their advantage. They channeled the water from the top, guiding it down through a meticulously designed network of underground conduits. As the water descends, it builds up incredible pressure, and they use that pressure to do something truly remarkable. This is where it gets truly fascinating. They weren't just moving water downhill. They were using the pressure created by the downward flow to power fountains and channels that moved water to other, higher locations. They had mastered the concept of a siphon. Now, a siphon might sound complex, but the idea is simple. You can use it to move a liquid from a higher container to a lower one, even if the path between them goes up first. Think about it like a drinking straw. If you put a straw in a glass of water and start to suck, you're creating negative pressure, and the water flows up the straw and into your mouth. The ancient engineers used a similar principle, but on a massive scale. They used a combination of gravity and sealed pipes to create the vacuum needed to pull water to where it needed to go. And this is where we have to talk about the materials. This wasn't some simple ditch and a few rocks. The channels were carved into the rock itself and into the surrounding earth. And the pipes, they were made of advanced ceramics and pottery, fired at such high temperatures that they were incredibly durable and watertight. But the true breakthrough was the plaster. These channels were coated with a special waterproof lime plaster. The builders had to understand material science on a level we can barely comprehend. They needed a substance that would not only be strong, but would also prevent any water from seeping into the ground and being lost. They had to create a sealed system, a perfect, invisible highway for water. The precision required to do this is simply astonishing. A tiny flaw, a single leak in a single pipe, and the whole system could fail. But it worked, for centuries, and some of it still works today. Let's take a closer look at that siphoning system. Imagine a large reservoir up high. A pipe goes down from the bottom of that reservoir, then dips below the ground, and then rises again to a fountain. The weight of the water in the descending pipe creates a powerful suction, pulling the rest of the water over the hump. The sealed system ensures that no air can get in, and the water flows smoothly, powerfully, and endlessly. This principle allowed them to create stunning fountains in the gardens below. And more importantly, it allowed them to move water to other parts of the fortress without any mechanical power. This wasn't just about technology for technology's sake. This was about resilience. It was about creating a sustainable, living environment in a place where it seemed impossible. The ancient engineers were not just builders, they were problem solvers. They looked at a harsh, dry landscape and didn't just accept its limitations. They used their brilliant minds and their incredible understanding of the natural world to overcome them. They planned for every eventuality. They built channels that would collect rainwater from every surface on the rock, feeding it back into the main system. They built reservoirs that could hold enough water to sustain the population for months. This wasn't a small-scale operation. It was a massive civic project, designed to support a palace, its gardens, and all its inhabitants. So, when we talk about the Lion Rock, we're not just talking about a beautiful ruin. We are talking about a living, breathing testament to human genius. We're talking about a civilization that understood physics on a level that we still find remarkable today. This isn't just history, it's a lesson in innovation, in sustainability, and in the power of a brilliant mind to transform the impossible into reality. We've now explored the incredible hidden network of pipes and the complex physics that made the water gardens a reality. But all that engineering, all that brilliant design, had a singular, crucial purpose: survival. You see, a fortress is only as strong as its ability to withstand a siege, and in a tropical climate like Sri Lanka, the most valuable resource isn't gold or food, it's water. The engineers of Sigiriya understood this perfectly. They didn't just build a palace, they built a fortress designed to be completely self-sustaining, powered by one of the most reliable forces on the planet, the sky. This is where the true brilliance of their foresight comes into play. They turned the entire summit of the rock, all 1.2 hectares of it, into an ingenious rainwater harvesting system. As you walk on the summit today, you can see the evidence carved directly into the bedrock. There are elaborate, sloping channels that funnel every single drop of rain. Think about it. A sudden downpour, and instead of the water just running off the sides of the rock, it was captured. It was collected with absolute precision. These weren't just simple ditches, they were part of a master plan, a blueprint for survival. Every inch of the summit was meticulously designed to catch rainfall and direct it to massive, purpose-built reservoirs. The crown jewel of this system is the largest rock-cut reservoir at the very top. It's a colossal space, meticulously carved out of the solid stone. Just stand by its edge and try to imagine the sheer effort it must have taken to quarry this much rock using ancient tools. This was a project of monumental scale, and for good reason. This massive reservoir wasn't just for a few days. It was for months or even a year's supply of fresh water. It acted as the heart of the entire hydraulic system we just explored. The water from this main reservoir was fed down into the network of pipes and channels, creating the pressure that powered the fountains and supplied the palace and its gardens. It was a closed loop, a perfect cycle. Rainwater from the sky filled the top reservoir, which then supplied the entire fortress. Now, why was this so vital? Because with a guaranteed water supply, a king could be unassailable. An invading army could camp at the base of the rock for months, even years, trying to starve them out. But the inhabitants of Sigiriya, with their vast water reserves and a secure food supply from the irrigated gardens, could simply wait them out. This system wasn't just about luxury, it was about power, about invincibility. It was the ultimate statement of self-sufficiency. This is what's so compelling about Sigiriya. The ancient builders weren't just thinking about the aesthetics of a beautiful palace, they were thinking about long-term resilience. They were thinking about resource management and conservation. They were practicing sustainability in a way that we are still trying to perfect today. In our modern world, with growing concerns about climate change and water scarcity, Sigiriya stands as a timeless lesson. It shows us that with foresight, with a deep understanding of the environment, we can build societies that are not just grand, but also enduring. And let's not forget the quality of life this system provided. Imagine being on that rock, surrounded by a harsh, dry landscape, and yet you have access to clean, flowing water. You have fountains, you have lush gardens, you have private baths. This was a civilization that not only survived but thrived. The water system didn't just ensure their security, it allowed them to live in comfort and luxury, a true paradise in the sky that was a direct result of their engineering brilliance. It's a powerful reminder that our ancestors weren't just simple builders of huts or stone structures. They were masters of their environment. They were innovators who looked at nature's challenges and turned them into opportunities. They saw a giant rock and didn't just build on it. They integrated their entire civilization with it, creating a truly symbiotic relationship. So when we look at the ruins of Sigiriya, we're not just seeing the remnants of a king's ambition. We're seeing a blueprint for sustainable living. We're seeing the evidence of an ancient civilization that had both the vision to dream big and the intellectual power to make those dreams a reality. It is a masterpiece of both engineering and foresight, a monument to the incredible power of human ingenuity. We began our journey wondering how an entire civilization could survive and thrive on a solitary rock fortress. We've since uncovered a secret that is as breathtaking as the fortress itself. A sophisticated network of pipes, reservoirs, and channels, powered by nothing but the principles of gravity and pressure. We've seen how the ancient engineers of Sigiriya mastered rainwater harvesting, turning the entire summit into a giant, self-sustaining collection system. We've watched as that precious water was delivered to lush gardens and magnificent fountains, proving that this was more than just a fortress. It was a paradise. The story of Sigiriya's hydraulic system is so much more than a historical footnote. It is a powerful reminder of what human ingenuity is capable of. It's a testament to a civilization that didn't just accept the limitations of its environment, but instead used deep knowledge and innovative thinking to overcome them. These were not just builders. They were scientists, civil engineers, and urban planners, all rolled into one. They were practicing sustainability and resource management a millennium and a half before those words were ever uttered. This ancient blueprint for living in harmony with the environment holds a profound lesson for us today. As our modern world grapples with climate change, water scarcity, and the need for more resilient cities, Sigiriya stands as a living example. It proves that with foresight and a deep understanding of natural forces, we can create systems that are not just beautiful, but also enduring and functional. It tells us that the greatest solutions often come from the simplest principles, perfectly applied. And yet, despite all we know, Sigiriya still holds its secrets close. For all the channels we've uncovered and all the principles we've decoded, there are still a number of questions that remain unanswered. For instance, what was the full extent of the system? We can see the parts that are still visible, but how did the water travel to all the corners of the palace? Were there even more elaborate systems for filtration and distribution that have been lost to time? And what about maintenance? A system this complex would have required constant care. How did the engineers clean out the channels? How did they find and repair a leak high up on the rock face? We can only speculate, but it speaks to a level of engineering and a work ethic that is truly astonishing. These unanswered questions don't diminish the wonder. In fact, they only deepen the mystery and our admiration. They leave a trail of breadcrumbs for future generations of archaeologists and engineers to follow. Sigiriya is a place that defies expectations. It's not just a beautiful place to visit, it's a living, breathing history book, a monument to the power of a brilliant mind. It teaches us that ancient civilizations were far more sophisticated than we often give them credit for. It shows us that true genius transcends time, and that the lessons of the past can help us build a better future. So the next time you think about what's possible, remember the Lion Rock. Remember a king's ambition and a team of brilliant engineers who turned a mountain into a masterpiece. What do you think is the most impressive part of Sigiriya's engineering? The precision of the pipes, the massive reservoirs, or the sheer ambition of the entire project? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe to join us as we continue to explore the ancient wonders of our world.